Hey, what is going on, guys? RvzStealth here, and in today's video, we're going to be breaking down one of Faker's Lucian Mid games over on the EUS server. So he did really well in this game. He ended up going like 8-4. He had over 10 CS per minute, which is actually pretty insane. You don't see a lot of 10 CS per minute in solo queue. You see it quite often in the pro scene, but to get 10 CS per minute in solo queue, it's actually pretty difficult to do. So we're going to be trying to break down the key aspects of this video, why Faker was able to do so well in this game. So if we start things off here by taking a look at what he's running on his Lucian mid, pretty standard stuff. He's going press the attack with the overheal there. He's playing against a Xerath, so by going the overheal, getting that little bit of extra healing, prevents his poke a bit in the laning phase, going for Alacrity, coup de grace, and then for his secondary runes, going for boots, as well as the biscuits there. For the build setup, he's actually starting Corrupting Potions, so going up against the Xerath there, Xerath is going to be trying to poke him out in the laning phase, so Corrupting Potion just allows him to sustain that. And then for his build path, pretty standard stuff for what you'd expect on Lucian, Blitherune King into Black Cleaver, and then Essence Reaver. So now one thing to take note of right off the bat here, notice on the bottom left, he actually hasn't leveled an ability yet. There's not a 1 next to any of those abilities there, so it's pretty important. Like, you don't want to level an ability unless you're going for an invade or unless you get invaded on until you do get to lane. There's really no point at all, because if you end up getting invaded on, say you take your Q as Lucian, the enemy comes into the bush there, then you're probably gonna have to burn your flash. So especially if you're playing a champion who does have a gap closer, there's just, if you're not fighting, there's no point in leveling ability until you do get to lane. So notice he did level his E there first, which allowed him to dodge out on that W from the Xerath. So if you're playing the Lucian mid into a skill shot oriented mage, then leveling the E first there just allows you to dodge out on damage. And notice there, let's actually just take a look back at that. Notice where how Xerath used his W on the wave, and then immediately Faker moves forward. So let's go over this again here. So let's take a look. The Xerath is going to use W in a second. I'm going to use W for some poke here, I'm pretty sure. So let's just see this. So uses W, misses it. Faker immediately moves forward. Zones the Xerath off the wave, and that's something you like always want to be doing in the laning phase. Like, play around the enemy's cooldowns. If they miss an ability, like, you want to punish that, right? So he knows he doesn't have W now. It's a pretty long cooldown. He just dashes in there, gets a really favorable trade-off with his E, procs his press the attack. So always be playing around cooldowns in the laning phase, and just don't let the enemy just sit in lane if their cooldowns are down. Punish them for it, and that's exactly what Faker does in that situation. Now, one thing to note here about Faker's early game warding is that he usually doesn't ward the Raptor Camp at level 1. You'll see a lot of players ward Raptor Camp at level 1, and I think it's still good to do, but what Faker does a lot of games is he shoves in the second wave, and after he does that, he dips into Fog of War, and then he wards the Raptor Camp. If you're not worried about getting ganked in the early game or at level 2 by a jungler, then warding the Raptor Camp there, warding to see for that level 2 gank, it's not super necessary. So especially because he is playing Lucian, like, he's not gonna really have any threat of dying to a gank level 2 there from a Karthus. So not warding at level 1 and just waiting until level 2, then warding gives your ward a little bit more time, gives you a little bit more vision potential on the jungler. So I think warding at level 1, warding Raptors at level 1 as a mid laner is still really good. It's still great for a lot of games, but I guess depending on the situation, like if you're playing a safe mid laner, if the jungler can't gank you level 2, then you can wait till the level 2 there to ward it. That's fine as well. So at this point in the lane, notice how he's fine with just letting Xerath shove him in under tower. Notice where the junglers are in the map. Qiyana's still farming her jungle. She actually pings towards the Scuttle Crab there. I don't know if you guys can see that on the screen, but Qiyana pinged towards the Scuttle Crab there, pinged in on my way. So after this wave, Faker should look to shove the wave out, or he should look to hover towards top side. So let's just see what he does here in this situation. He's getting poked out a little bit more than I would expect. Like, I feel like in that situation prior there when he got hit by the W, he could have dodged out on it with his E, but Faker, despite people's thinking, he's not a robot, he's still a human. He's gonna make mistakes in certain situations. But notice here that he is just hard hovering towards top side. He's just making sure that if Qiyana gets engaged on by Karthus or they get into a fight, that he can roam over there very quickly. And right here, he's just looking to hard shove on the wave. Qiyana's actually basing here, so I think what Faker's going to try to do is base after this wave as well. You want to try to time your bases to either when the cannon minion wave is arriving, or you want to shove in the cannon wave like he's doing right here. And then based on that, you always want to time your bases around that cannon minion because it's going to take the opponent a lot longer to clear out that cannon minion there. So it's just going to allow for you to have more time to get back to lane and not miss out on any CS. So let's just fast forward here and let's see how much CS he ends up missing out on in this situation. So he uses his E as well there to make sure he gets back to lane quicker, and he doesn't lose a single CS. So just making sure you do time your bases around that cannon minion wave is just so important if you are in a position to do so in the laning phase. Like if you're getting chunked out really hard, if you're not in a favorable matchup, then some lanes you're gonna have to just accept the fact that your base might not be the greatest and you're gonna have to lose a couple CS. But in this situation here, Faker was winning lane. There's no reason as to why he couldn't dictate the first base and he couldn't get the better base off, and he was able to do that in this matchup. So right here, this is also like a really big thing about getting that first base off. He got the first base off here. And all right, so like I was saying earlier, Faker's not a robot. He's a human. He's going to make mistakes, and he just flashes in there into the Xerath stun, and he ends up getting nothing out of that. So, you know, Faker's going to make mistakes. Everybody makes mistakes. So even one of the best players, or arguably the best mid laner in the world, is going to make mistakes every single game. So, but like I was saying, because he got that first base off there, he was able to get the first roam. He was able to roam first there, and even though he did mechanically mess up there, it's still like if he timed his flash a little bit better, he probably would have been able to get a kill in that situation there. So just being able to be on the map after your first base before the enemy mid laner or just before the enemy laner is really important for situations like that. Alright, so let's just skip ahead 8 minutes into the game now. It looks like Faker's going to get a kill onto Xerath here in the next few seconds, so let's just see how he ends up playing this. He's got his Cutlass, so he is going to deal a lot of damage now, especially in a straight up all-in, so let's just see. Xerath misses, or he hits his Q, misses his W. Really nice dodge there by Faker on the Xerath E, and if Xerath just uses his abilities carelessly in lane and he misses them, especially, like, you can just look to punish that with Lucian right after that. Like, pop a Corrupting Potion. At this point in the lane here, like, with the Cutlass, with the Corrupting Potion, you just have so much sustain that the Xerath poke really isn't going to hurt for that much. So, even if you do get hit by Xerath's abilities, once he uses them, like, you can look to play very aggressive into him and just don't get poked out when playing against the Xerath. Like, if you let the Xerath just poke you, then you're just gonna get chunked out over time. So it's very important that once he does like miss an ability, look to play aggressive and just look to punish that. So right here, what he's gonna do is shove this next wave in here, and then he's probably gonna look for a base. This would be a good base time. He's running low on mana, half HP, or he's not half HP, a little bit more than half HP, but running low on mana. He might have Blade of the Ruined King on this base here, so if he does have that Bork, then he would definitely be able to just completely take over this lane after this point. So Xerath going to stop the base there. I assume he's probably going to stay for this next wave, just because if he doesn't stay for it, then he's probably going to miss out on a couple CS. So let's just see what he does. So yeah, he's actually just going to stay for this wave. And then if the next wave is cannon, I'm pretty sure next wave is cannon. This would be a perfect time to get a base in. So he's just going to stay here, clear out this wave, get a base in now, and let's just see here. So yeah, next wave is cannon, perfect time to base here. It's going to take Xerath a lot longer to clear out the cannon minion. Once Xerath's cannon minion hits Faker's tower as well, the tower is going to be hitting it. It's going to take the tower a lot longer to clear out the cannon. So let's just see how many CS he misses here. He should only miss 1 CS. Usually, like this minion right here, this is the only minion you miss when you do get a perfect base off on a cannon wave. So you miss 1 minion, but notice how the cannon minion here just tanking up the tower shots. Gonna take a very long time to kill it. Allows Faker to get back to lane, and notice his CS here, 107 CS. Like, his base timings have been perfect this lane. Never missed any CS from his bases. And then right here, Xerath just misses E, so yeah, Faker's just gonna go in, play super aggressive. Like, once you have Blade of the Ruined King here, there's no reason for like Xerath to even, or Xerath cannot like even play this matchup now at this point. Like, Blade of the Ruined King on Lucian, even if Xerath hits his abilities, Lucian can just look to dash in and just win the 1v1, because he's gonna do a lot more straight up damage in that 1v1, a lot more DPS there. And I think that was actually a very low risk play. Like, you could say, depending on where the Karthus is on the map, that might have been a riskier play to go for, but Karthus actually showed bot side there. He's bot side, as you can see there on the mini map, so it was a pretty low risk play. Faker knew that there was no way that like The Karthus could even be there because he showed on the mini map. So really good punish again by Faker, and he's just completely taking over this matchup now at this point. So jump ahead to around 12 minutes now. At this point in the lane, Faker, what he should probably be looking to do is just look to get this first tower down mid, and then after that, look to be proactive around the map, look to be roaming a little bit more, because if you continue to just stay in lane at this point and solo queue Xerath over and over, it's not going to do too much. But notice right there, Xerath uses his E, and Faker immediately just dashes in, like no hesitation at all. And I think that's one of the things that, like, Faker's just such an insane player, because there's just no hesitation in his plays. Like, if we just go back there again and take a look at this. Take a look at this all in again here. As soon as Xerath uses this E, like he uses his Q there on the wave, uses W, so he's got nothing now. Like Faker's not going to take any damage, misses E, and then immediately dashes in, gets a full trade off onto the Xerath and just kills him. So unfortunately, he does end up dying here to the Karthus ultimate, but in the end, it doesn't really matter too much. I guess actually Karthus is 4-1 at this point, so it could be a bit of a problem later on in the game, but Faker's 3-1, Xerath is 0-3. If he can just continue to snowball, continue to get kills in this lane, grow his CS lead, then Faker, even with Xerath fed, or even with Karthus fed, sorry, he should still be able to carry this game pretty easy. So heading back to lane now, he's got his Greaves, he's got his Bork, and he's also working towards his Black Cleaver. So, so right here, he's just like, he just does not care. Like Xerath to him at this point is basically like a cannon minion. Like if Xerath walks into lane, he's just going to dash forward into him and he's just going to look to trade, which is exactly what he did there. Like he's 2 levels up onto Xerath right now. He's got sustain, he's got the Bork, he's got his corrupting potion. So he can just play so aggro in this lane at this point. It's pretty insane. So right here, almost kills the Xerath with his ultimate, but he's going to take down the tower. And this is the point where I was talking about earlier. Once he gets this tower here, I feel like what he's probably going to look to do is he's going to look to either go for this Herald. Herald would be a good option here. He can look to rotate either mid or bot as well. If they take down bot lane tower, what he can do in this game is he could look to side lane, because he's just insanely strong. Nobody can beat him in the side lane at this point, so he could look to side lane in this game. There's just a lot of different options. He's set up to carry this game really well at this point. Now, if you are somebody who does struggle with your CS in the mid to late game, really good thing to just keep note of is shove a wave, then look to roam. Always have that in your mind. Like what Faker's doing in this game here, he shoves that wave in, looks to dip into Fog of War, looks to go for a roam. A lot of times, like players, they'll end up just falling behind in CS a ton in the mid game because they won't shove that wave in, then look to roam. They'll just constantly like look to roam, won't even pay attention to their mid waves or won't even pay attention to their waves. So again, right here, comes back to mid, shoves the wave in, hard shoves the wave, then looks to roam. So that's really important to just keep track of, like especially if you are somebody who finds himself falling behind in CS in the mid to late game. All right, so at this point here, his bot lane just ended up dying, and I feel like what a lot of mid laners would do in this situation is they would try to go bot here and try to save this bot lane tower, but instead what Faker's gonna do is he's just gonna stay mid. Qiyana's got Rift Herald, no point in him going bot here and trying to save that tower when, let's take a look, like how low HP is it? There's no way he's gonna save that tower, right? So if he went bot in this situation, he would have just got like a couple CS, which is definitely not worth it. By staying mid here, they should be able to take down this mid lane tower with the Rift Herald. So just always be thinking about like, what can I actually get out of this situation? Like by roaming bot there, he's not gonna be able to get any kills. He's probably not gonna save the tower. So even if your team's pinging you, like I feel like a lot of bot laners would have pinged their mid laner to come bot there in that situation. But think about it for yourself. Think about like what you're gonna get out of the situation, and then make your decision. So really good decision there by Faker to just stay mid, roams into the enemy's jungle, takes out Karthus' wolves. When you are ahead, just make sure that you are playing smart aggressive. So like right here, he takes the wolves, but he doesn't want to stay and fight. His top laner ends up dying there, so he just wants to look to back out here, clear the wave out, look to get a base in. He's low on mana, no point in really staying around trying to fight. So he should be looking to get a base in here. I assume he's got enough gold for Black Cleaver, probably enough to start working towards Essence Reaver as well. Now let's just see here. I think he can turn onto this Karthus, so he's going to turn here, gonna chunk him out, blows the Karthus flash. So yeah, he's just really fed. Like nobody can 1v1 him at this point here, so I'm not too sure what Karthus was even trying to do. But get a base in here, get his items, and he's going to be very fed after this base. So now at this point, like I was saying a little bit earlier, what he could look to do in this game is look to side lane. His Ezreal is mid right now, and it would be really beneficial for him to just look to go to his side lane, look to draw pressure, because he's level 13. Everybody else on the enemy team is a lower level. The Gangplank's 0-4, the Xerath is 0-3. Nobody can match him in the side lane at this point, so that's what he's just going to do here. He's going to go down into the bot lane, 1v1 this Gangplank. There's no way this Gangplank can even sit in this lane against Lucian here, so just gonna pick up a very free kill. Really nothing special about that one. Like, there's no way that the Gangplank can even kill the Lucian. I bet if Lucian just literally stood there and auto-attacked the Gangplank, didn't even use abilities, Faker probably still would have ended up killing him. So just going to continue pushing out the side wave here, can look to rotate mid, or he can look to just continue pushing down this tower. So just going to look to get chip damage off on this tower here. His team's roaming over. He's insanely fed here, so if Kai'Sa is just sitting under tower alone, he knows he's got the burst damage to just straight up kill her, so plays aggressive, understands his damage in this situation, so continues to push towards this tower here, or for this tower, and they're going to take this down. And after they take this down, probably not overstay for another tower, I'd assume. Actually, they're still pretty high on HP. They could probably stay for this tower as well. They got Ryze pushing top lane, so always pay attention to where your other teammates are on the map. You got Ryze pressuring top side here, so it's fine for his team to stay bot here and continue pressuring bot side, because the enemy is going to be forced to make a decision. Like, they either have to go top for Ryze, and Ryze can probably 1v2 in this situation. He ends up dying, but just force the enemies to make these kind of decisions, and you're going to end up getting a lot more objectives out of certain situations. Now right here, I think Faker wants this red, and look at him. He just ends up standing there for a second, pissed off at his Ezreal that Ezreal took the red. I don't think I've ever seen Faker, like, I don't know, do that kind of like BM in game or anything like that, but he literally just stood there. He didn't move because he was pissed off that his Ezreal stole the red from him. So as the Ezreal there, like, I'd be giving Faker red. Like, there's no reason as to why you would not give Faker red in this situation. So pretty dumb by Ezreal to take the red there, considering that Lucian's 5-1, he's 1-4. But it doesn't really matter. Like, it doesn't matter at all in the outcome of this game. It's just something that if you're that Ezreal player there, then you better be giving Faker that red, or like, if Faker decides to just troll the rest of the game here, then I definitely would not be surprised. All right, so right here, he's in the side lane. Is he gonna live? Yeah, so he's drawing pressure in the side lane here, but his team is not really in a position to capitalize on it. They're not really near Baron at all. Qiyana's actually bot side here, which doesn't really make a ton of sense. I feel like Qiyana should be towards top side here. Like, if his team was top side, if Qiyana was top, if Ezreal was top, then they could just get a free Baron here. So honestly, I think it's fine for him to be bot, fine for him to be pressuring, but his team just has to be aware of like the situation. His team should be top side there, pressuring towards the Baron. Notice there's a ping going down on the Baron right now. Like, they should just be over there taking it. I don't see the reason to why they wouldn't be. So I think more so of a misplay on his team's part there than on Faker's part. Like, obviously he could be paying more attention to where his team is on the map and waiting for them or telling them to go towards the Baron, but at the same time, his team honestly like played that pretty poorly. Now there's pings going down on the Baron though. They just killed the Karthus, so they're gonna get the Baron now, and at this point, the game should pretty much be over. All right, so teams got the Baron here. There's pings going down on the Dragon. Ryze isn't here. I feel like this fight actually isn't really necessary for his team to take. Notice how Faker's like not, I guess there's the Karthus passive zoning him there, but I feel like he doesn't really want to take this fight, which is definitely pretty understandable. He's pretty low on HP. His team just goes in there, and Ezreal and the Rakan died. Qiyana gets a kill there, but I feel like you just shove out your side waves, get the Infernal here, and then look to pressure towers. Like, dying there, it just loses tempo, right? Like, what's the point of Ezreal and Rakan going in when Ryze isn't even there? Like, you gotta, I don't know, I feel like games are thrown so often because players just don't pay attention to, you know, what's going on the map. Like, the Ryze wasn't there. They got a free Infernal to take. Their side waves aren't shoved out yet. So just go back to the basics, like shove out side waves, grab the objectives, push towers. Like, you don't just need to take these random monkey fights like this Rakan and Ezreal did there, and I feel like it just stalls out the game a little bit longer for no reason. So jump ahead now to 25 minutes. The game is pretty much over. Like, the game's been over ever since his team did end up taking that Baron, even if they do die a couple times. Like, he's just so fed at this point. He's 7-3, Qiyana's 11-1, his team's all very fed, so there's really no way that they end up losing this game. Just gonna grab the red buff there. He finally gets his red buff that he wanted. And now he should just be able to, like, Xerath is up, Peg's up, and Gangplank are up, but he's just waiting here in the Fog of War, dashes in, should be able to kill everybody. He's insanely fed at this point here, so yeah, and that should be the game there. So hopefully you guys did enjoy this video. Hopefully you did learn something from this video. I definitely learned a couple things myself from watching Faker. It's pretty interesting taking a look at, like, pro player. All right. Okay, I guess they FF, so that's why he did that there. But yeah, it's definitely pretty interesting taking a look at, like, pro players, replays, analyzing what they do, trying to figure out, like, why they're doing stuff in certain situations. So hopefully you guys did enjoy this video. If you did, then be sure to drop a like and subscribe if you've yet to already. So thanks for watching, guys. Have an awesome day, and I'll see you in my next video.